People probably don't realise this, but there is so much importance on healthy diet, sleeping, exercise, and water. Vocal cords need hydration. I believe a lot of professionals I've come across who see me about vocal bleeds and things that happen inside the cords, quite often they'll tell me how dry the vocal cords were and how husky the voice was. A lot of people get husky voices and they immediately think that they're having laryngitis or gosh, I'm getting an infection. Quite often I had a very serious problem back in 1989 with acid reflux, and since then I've seen so many singers with acid reflux. They have a coffee and they go on stage, they have a glass of wine, they go on stage, they never ever look and search what is an acid alkaline diet. Very important to be alkaline, particularly for singers, because hydrochloric acid that belongs under the valve in your tummy there, if it gets up into the vocal cords, it's very, very hot. It's like boiling the kettle and tipping it on your vocal cords, and it doesn't belong lying in the voice box. When it happened to me, I had some very serious ulcers on the top of my esophagus, right under my vocal cords. So you can imagine what was going on. Notes cutting in and out, and you hear that sound and you think, what's going on? They get very swollen, they get very inflamed, voice box is very red. So very, very important. I use for myself a lot of slippery elm powder, which is a natural herb that you can mix up to coat all the lining and keep all the foods away. I know a lot of people will use prescription medication, which I guess in some cases serious reflux, it might be something that the doctor suggests for them, which is fine if it's really, really serious. For me, I healed my ulcers in about 8 weeks using the powder. I used some digestive enzymes and I made my body very, very alkaline, lots of water, gave up coffee completely at the time, not to say that I still don't have one a day now, but I did that to try and keep that reflux and just keep it away. And when people say, what is it? Just think of heartburn. When people are burping and foods are repeating, never ever eat chili and spicy foods and expect to go on stage and sing well. It is not a good thing for vocal cords, and you'll feel them moving. The voice almost feels like it can't stay in tune, and you're like, what's happening? And most people don't realize the mucus that comes out, the phlegm that comes into the throat, is trying to protect the lining. So remember that it's there for a purpose. It's trying to protect the lining of the body. So, and quite often you don't even know you have it until you're like me talking now, and then you go because you think, where's that coming from? You don't even know you have a problem until the phlegm starts coming out and you think, why am I getting so much mucus? So quite often look back and make a little chart of what you've been eating and say, oh, maybe that caused the problem, rather than just, gee, I'm getting an infection or I've got laryngitis, something like that. So just think about that. The other one, of course, is in the pharynx, in the soft tissue back there, where people get pharyngitis, which is not laryngitis. Laryngitis is in the voice box. That's why it's called the larynx. And with laryngitis, no way can you actually sing. It wouldn't matter, I've seen people do that, try and destroy their voices for all time, singing with laryngitis, but not a healthy thing to do. With the pharynx, you'll get that real furry, itchy throat, and you get what's going on. It's almost like a sheet, like singing through a sheet, I used to call it. With pharyngitis, it's another reason I made my Voice Rescue Singer's Throat Cleanser, because I try to look after that part of the, that part of the voice. Probably need some right now. That part of the voice and the throat, because the throat needs to be lubricant and moving. You need moisture, you need all that stuff to make vocal cords healthy, and it's a bit like the speakers, really, like your lungs. You want to project and you want the tissue in the throat to be healthy. So that's very important. Having a good night's sleep, which is not always possible when people are touring. As much sleep as you can get and as much rest, and vocal rest. I used to sometimes want to undo the window and wished I could take them out and lay them down and let them have a little sleep. Not possible, but try and just rest the body as much as you can. Also, I'm amazed how many people forget that the speaking voice is also the singing voice. I say, have you rested? They have laryngitis. Are you resting it? Oh yes, but I've been trying to talk because I have to talk. It's the same instrument. So remember, you don't just rest the singing voice, you rest the speaking voice. And honestly, I get asked that question a lot. Oh, do I have to not talk as well? Yes. Don't speak. That's very important. And water. Get that 2 litres of water happening over the day and keep the hydration in the voice box, because in the whole body. And don't just take the water on the stage and guzzle away at the water on your first song. Water needs to be in the body before you actually get to the performance. And I always get amazed when I see that. I say, did you drink any water before the show? No, I drank it on the stage. Well, it's almost too late. You could be 4 or 5 songs in before you even get hydrated, because you're actually wetting the tissue in your throat. But what about getting it into the bloodstream? What about getting some water into the vocal cords and getting them fluent and moving? So water is a very important thing for singers, and not so much wine and beer. And I see people having a glass of wine to relax, but they're actually also putting acid into the body before they sing. So even though they're relaxed, and I'm sure many people find that soothing, then you've got this issue of, if I've got a problem with reflux, it's just going to make it worse. The coffee that we wake ourselves up with is just going to make it worse. So try just getting some boiling water, a little bit of lemon juice, some manuka honey. Try and just keep some heat. Keep the hot blood around the vocal cords, not in the stomach digesting the dinner you just ate before you went on. The other thing, eat a meal 2 or 3 hours before you go on. Don't eat and fill up the stomach and expect to rush out there and start singing.